Tonight on A New Thing Live, we're kicking it up a notch, literally, with fitness expert Kelsey Hollenbeck, who also share practical goals as we head into the new year. Plus, Bless app founder Terry Eusebi joins us to talk about the app that keeps on giving, Bless. All this and more tonight on A New Thing Live. Well, hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to A New Thing Live. My name is Cyndi Galley, and I'm the host of this show. For those of you who've never been here before, we're so glad that you're here. It's your first time in joining us. We have a great time. It's meant to be about an hour long, but give or take. And for those of you who are coming back, we're so thankful for for you to be on here and for you to look forward. I get those texts and those messages saying, I'll see you tonight. And it makes me so happy. So thank you so much for joining us. We do have a great show for you today. We've got some wonderful women lined up. And, you know, it's not only about women. This actually is a show for men to come on as well. But it just so happens that whatever the things and the topics we're talking about, just seems that we have a lot of amazing powerhouse women lined up, and we are okay with that. So before we bring in our guests, just kind of want to just see how your Christmas was. And I just want to remind you that this is an interactive show. We want you to do a thumbs up. We want you to shout out to us. And so today I'm actually doing this on my own. So I'm going to hopefully be able to hold the comment fort down. I can see the YouTube, but I can't see the Facebook. But at some point, I'm going to try to get onto Facebook to see those of you. But tell us where you're coming from. For those of you that are on Facebook, if you want to start a watch party, why not start a watch party right now and invite your friends? You all know that this is a safe place. This is just a place for you to be encouraged, for you to be strengthened. Hey, there's some amazing things in the hearts of a lot of people. Every one of us have potential to do something great, to do something amazing, to do something impactful, and of course, something new. So how was your Christmas vacation? So it's been crazy. Some friends that were coming into town my way ended up putting a halt on it just because of the spike of COVID cases here in California. And so really bummed that I didn't get to see some people that I had planned on spending it with, but also I did have a wonderful time, was able to spend time with one of my aunts and her immediate family. And so, of course, being together is always very heartwarming and at the same time, very nostalgic, because you just think of, all the pockets of family members each doing something. And there was a time when our family used to do a lot of things together. We were talking about, remember those picnics we used to go on at Leg Lake and Rosemead, and we'd get together for Easter and Mother's Day. We'd all go hang out at Lowry's down in downtown LA. And there was so many wonderful memories we talked about. So I pray that you had a wonderful time, whether you were by yourself or with loved ones. Christmas Day, I was by myself. And the day after Christmas, I was by myself. And so I really enjoyed that time as well. I see the movies with all the kids swirling about and excited and laughing and giggling and coming down to open up presents. And I opened up my gifts at about 4:00 that afternoon. So, for those of you that are single, I don't know if you're like me, but I do still try to hold traditions so that even if I am by myself, doesn't feel too weird or too lonely. So had my tamales. Miss Jackson can cook. She made some tamales and I bought some of her tamales. She was one of our special guests here in the month of November. And she's actually going to be a regularly featured guest starting in 2021. Yes! Miss Jackson is going to be in the house every month. No, every other month. I got a little ahead of myself. So, but I had her tamales and I had my eggs, had my egg whites, actually, my cafecito, and it was just a really, really nice time. So I hope that regardless of whether you were by yourself or with loved ones, that you did have a special Christmas. I know that there are a lot of families that are also being ravaged, and I just want to say Our hearts are not only with you, but our prayers are with you. Families, you know, you are loved. And I so appreciate people just reaching out. And so we're lifting up some of the families who have lost loved ones during this time. And our hearts are with you. And if any of you, you know, some of you do reach out via direct message and whatnot. But if there's any of you, don't forget, you can reach us at hello@anewthinglive.com. And we want to pray for you. We want to be there for you. Prayer helps, prayer strengthens, prayer works. And, you know, we were not meant to do life alone. We're not meant to do life alone. We are truly better together. And in the Bible, I believe it's the Old Testament, it says that two are better than one in Ecclesiastes or Songs of Solomon. I think it's Ecclesiastes, but two are better than one. And so no matter how isolated you want to be, make sure, even right now as we're going into the new year, to reach out to people that you love near or far, maybe someone that you haven't reached out to in a while. Maybe you can make a little greeting card and just say, hey, thinking about you, and just want you to know how special you are to me. And, you know, I received a lot of texts asking for prayer for different loved ones that are fighting COVID and going through COVID right now in different situations. Some people in the ER, some people at home, a lot. This week, there was a lot of that. And so we are praying for you, and we are declaring God's word over you, that by his stripes you are healed. So please keep those prayers coming. We want you to know that we are in your corner and we are lifting you up in prayer. And so thank you so much for reaching out to us, but we do love you. Before we get on with the rest of our show, you know, this week was Christmas, yes, but now as we go into the new year, having just come out of Christmas, I want to say happy birthday. We have a birthday today to a very special person in my life, my very good friend, Diana Hogue. And let me see if I could bring up this picture here with Diana. She and I have been friends for about 30 years. And, oh, did I not upload it? Okay, I'm going to have to upload it. Oh, no, it's here. Diana, happy birthday to you. So Diana and I have been friends for about 30 years. We were in youth ministry together. We went to Azusa Pacific University together. We graduated together. Oh, goodness. Yeah, 1997. We sat next to each other at our graduation. We worked together at Photography by Dawn in El Monte. And now we work together at The Rock in Anaheim, and we've been working together for quite a few years. And now she and I launched a podcast because we're both still single. We are both waiting for God's very best. And we launched a podcast called The Singles Sessions. And so for those of you that are on iTunes or on Spotify, just go ahead and do that search for The Singles Sessions. And you'll hear from Diana and I. And every now and then we do have a special guest. We try to get some of that male perspective in there. So if you're single, go ahead and check us out. And also I do hear from the marrieds that they enjoy our podcast as well. So let's see. We have Pat LaBouffe here. Yes, Pat, you said you had Miss Jackson tamales. Well, very good. Yes. Girl, weren't they amazing? I don't know if you had, and I don't know how many she made, but I had the green chili and cheese, and they were so bomb. They were so good. I know she had different kinds though. And so hopefully you were able to enjoy homemade tamales. I also purchased the ones from Costco, and they weren't so bad. Hey there, Griselda, welcome. Right now I'm just talking about you know, what Christmas looked like in the tamales and going into the new year. So welcome. So glad that you're here. Okay. So birthday shout out to Diana Hogue. And also I missed a very dear friend. His name is Terrence Bates. And he is a really good friend of one of my best friends. So Terrence, happy belated birthday. Should have given him a shout out last week, and I did not. And then this week, another really good friend. She's my girl. Maxine is in the house. She's not here tonight, but I say that when I say her name. Maxine is in the house. Her birthday is this week. So happy birthday, Maxine. And any of you that want me to celebrate your birthdays, do let us know as well. And we will give you a shout out as well. Okay. So, who is ready to say bye-bye to 2020? I am so ready. I know last week we talked about it. Just because it's a new year doesn't necessarily mean that all of the things of the past stay in the past. Now, there are some things that we can keep in the past, situations that happen where there has been resolve, and things where maybe there were exchanges that happened, and then forgiveness was released, and all of those types of things. However, there's still some things out some of us are still working through. Some of it might be financial, some of it might be health, some of it might be family related. So some of those things are things that we're looking into 2021. What are some things that you can do? And so one of the things I'm excited about on this show is we're going to talk a little bit about some of that resolve. And I know that for me, for example, we've got the magazine, fashion magazine, and I remember one of our first New Year's issues was New Year, New You. And I hear that so frequently. And while we would love for that to be true, in most cases, it is not always the case that you don't have a brand new you. Although we would love to have a brand new you. Now, there are some ways spiritually that you can be totally brand new, where all things have passed away and truly all things have become new. But just some of these other things in our life, we just have to work on them, like I want to say level by level, phase by phase, step by step. And so what are 3 things that you can do? For me, 2021, I have resolved that I am going to start being a little bit more mindful of budgeting. So yes, I do have just a little savings, but I would like to be more mindful of it. At 51 years old, I need to be more mindful because there are some things that I'm looking at. So yes, I would love to own a home. Who knows where I would want to own that home? But yes, I would love to own a home, even if it's just me. Because what if I don't marry for X amount of years? A lot of times people will say, well, when I get married, then I will do this. But I just say, if it's in your heart and you have the ability to do it, then go ahead and write down those goals, write down that list. And, maybe 2021, maybe your goal could be to be more spiritual. Maybe you want to get closer to God. Maybe you want to grow closer to the Lord. Maybe you do want to hear his voice and spend time with him every day. Making that just a simple resolution. And it can be simple. It doesn't have to be, you're going to read a whole chapter once a day. It could just be, I'm going to spend time in prayer once a day. In the morning when I wake up, I'm going to pray. At night before I go to bed, I'm going to read a chapter. And there are some wonderful things. There are some wonderful tools out there. I know our church, we have an app. It's The Rock. And so we have our own app, and our Solid Lives reading plan is in there. But also, you can go to Bible Gateway. There's all types of different plans and resources and tools. And so we will provide some of that for you on our website, which will be launched and ready for you next week. 1 week from today, our website launches. So hello. So it won't be the kind of thing that we will still want to do it on social media, but we really want to resource you in 2021 to have a victorious life, to be victorious. We're all called to be victorious. And then the third thing, I know for me, I started already changing my eating in about September of this year. And little by little, it's not this huge thing that I want this dramatic. No, I'm just doing it phase by phase, day by day, week by week, month by month. And so maybe it's just 3 things you need to do. So I would encourage you just spending maybe 30 minutes this week before the new year kicks in. And again, some people want to go if you want to go all out for top 10, top 20, 21, then go by all means and do it. But I'm just saying, for those of you that just want to start small and realistic, but yet you do want to see that change in your life, maybe just 3 things that you can do. So we do know that really one of the things that would be great is to be better at giving. And, especially with the holidays, you hear about the Giving Tuesday, during the Thanksgiving time. And of course, during Thanksgiving, a lot of people like to give their time and just to be more, kind of have that goodwill heart and attitude. But next, we have a woman who is beyond passionate about giving. So much so that she created an app so that people's lives are changed and impacted through this one app called Bless. But before we bring her out here, let's take a look at her video and then we will bring her out here. Here we go.
Hey, you ready? I'm ready. Just a few months ago, I was asked a question that would change the course of my life. It was a simple question, but it stirred something deep within. The question was, what is your passion? What is it that you ultimately want to do? And the answer surfaced so quick, it just bubbled up within me. And without hesitation, and with every bit of excitement I could have, I said, if I could do anything, you know what I would do? I would go bless people. It's always been my passion to help others. So I just got to thinking, if I knew that my neighbor or my coworker or the person passing me in the market had a need, and it could be any kind of need, a need for clothes or a need for food, or maybe one of those more quiet, often disregarded needs, like just someone to talk to or someone to walk with. I asked myself, would I help if I knew they had a need like that? And the answer was a resounding yes. And then I thought, you know what? There are countless others that feel the same exact way. If only we could know what people really need. And that was the moment the vision for Bless as a mobile app came alive. And we began designing a platform where users can go and they can share a need and they can offer to meet a need. So you don't have to wait for someone to share a need. You can go on there and you can say, hey, I've got 4 hours on Friday. If you just need a helping hand, I want to be there for you. Once their need's been met or they've met someone else's need, they'll be able to share their experience so that people right around them can reflect on all the blessings that are taking place right in their area. Our mission is simple: share a need, meet a need, uniting humanity through the power of Bless.
So good. So good. I'm so excited. Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring out Tara Eusebi from Bless. Welcome, Tara. How are you?
Thank you, Cyndi. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing so well, thank you. So good to have you on our show tonight. Thank you for being here, first of all.
Thank you for having me. What a privilege, and I'm super grateful. I just get so stirred up even watching that video. I don't watch it daily, but seeing it again, it just makes things all float back up to the top again. I love it.
Oh, I love it. So talk to us a little bit. Of course, we do want to jump into your app, but how have you been? I know you and I haven't seen each other for quite some time. Of course, the pandemic is the reason for that primarily. Right. But how have you been doing through the pandemic, and just how have things been going in your world?
I've been doing great. Honestly, the transition that took me out of corporate America in 2018, I feel like actually prepared me for the moments that we're living in and have been going through here in 2020. I really didn't feel like I skipped a beat, to be honest. I know that it's impacted a lot of people, and my heart has gone out to everybody that has been impacted. Some that have been impacted in a negative way, but I've heard many accounts of people being impacted in a very positive way with where they had a desire to work from home and never thought it possible, and now they're doing it. So we're kind of taking a spin on things and saying, why do we have to exit 2020 with a negative mentality of the pandemic and all that? Let's pull, if you even have one good thing that you can grab out, grab it and go and look forward to the new things ahead in 2021. But for me, I have an assignment that I'm on, and I've set my face like flint, and I am moving forward. I've got humanity that is relying on me and what I do in order to see change in the world. And it's what keeps me, moving ahead.
Wow, that is so good. Well, thank you so much for just that charge. I think that's super important just for people to really have that mentality. Yes, exactly. We don't have to end 2020. Yes, it's been a devastating year in a lot of ways, but I think we should always, I know I was sharing even with a good friend of mine how sometimes it would be so easy to want to start to get discouraged. And even in that moment, I would just feel that check in my heart. And I would just be reminded, no, in everything, give thanks, in everything. So even in the things that seemed icky or confusing or why is this happening, I would just choose to stop and say, Lord, thank you. I thank you that even in the midst of all of this, you are faithful. And I would just begin to do that. And boy, how quickly things would shift and change in my mind. And so I love that. Really, in the midst of all of this, you talk about humanity, and humanity, we are a strong, resilient people.
Yes, we are.
Right? And
Yes, we
we
are.
are strong. And so we're called to thrive, even in the midst, so much of where we've come out of is as a result of us being resilient in
Right.
like wars and in the midst of sickness and yes, pandemic and things like that. And so, yes, it's the first time we're walking through something like this, but you're absolutely right. And so thank you just so much for sharing that with us.
Yep.
And just girl, just coming on here with like a strong word of encouragement right out the gate.
Right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So I'm so excited. So wow, and that was one of the questions that I had for you, coming out of corporate America to launch your app. Is that really exactly how it happened? And tell us a little bit of that journey and what that looked like for you. Because I think there would be a lot of people that maybe have a desire even to maybe to step out into something new. And yes,
Right.
there is that fear, there's that reservation, but sometimes there's still that prodding, like, do it. So what was that like for you?
It was amazing actually to think back, but at the time there were so many different levels of emotion. I mean, you have responsibilities. I had been working some form of 9 to 5 since I was 16 years old, but yet when I was asked that question, it just sprung. I mean, it started to birth something so big in me, and I realized that in every position that I had held, I just knew there was a dissatisfaction there, not because of any natural circumstances necessarily, just a feeling of like, gosh, there is just more than this. There's something greater beyond what I'm doing here. And it just became so loud, Cyndi, on the inside. And then when that question came and I said, if I could do anything, I would just go bless people. I mean, I went off to work that day, and thinking like, what's that gonna be? Like that's a great like little ideal in a sense, like, yeah, right. And I think the person asking me the question probably had the same feeling in my response, like, that's really lovely, but go to work.
How are you gonna do that?
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? We serve a God of impossibilities, and it's in the impossible that he says, pick me. I'm really good at this stuff. I mean, this is where he thrives. And when we can put our trust in him, this is where we give him the reins, so to speak, and we just take the steps he gives us to do. And so it was interesting. It was a time of like real mental challenge, a real fight of fear, having to really lean into God and say, Lord, am I hearing you accurately here? And really being mindful of who am I sharing this with? Because when you start to get something like this, I think oftentimes people are too quick to just share it with everybody. And it's a quick way to destroy it. You have to be
so good.
Yeah, you have to protect it. It's literally like a baby. You have to keep it. That little idea that you have, you think might not be anything. Be really mindful. Who are you sharing it with? And make sure that whoever it is, they're your greatest fans. And not only that they can hear also for you. When you have a heart that just wants to do what God says, that's what I realized is that finally what the Lord spoke to me and all the challenge with the fear and stuff, like I heard this word and he said, if you are stepping out with a pure heart of faith, and you were to make a mistake in that, do you not think I'm big enough to pick you up and put you back where you need to be? And it was, the whole fear thing broke off of me. And I thought, oh my gosh, if God's not big enough to pick me up and put me back, if I miss it, well, then we're in trouble,
Woo!
right? And so, that was a real breaking point but
Yes.
the challenge just didn't stop, because then it was like, okay, Lord, I want to know the day. I want to know the exact time to turn in my resignation notice. I need to know the day. And he wouldn't tell me. He wouldn't tell me.
Oh,
And
wow.
I mean, it was months after I left corporate America that I heard the Lord speak to my heart. He said, you want to know when the right timing was? He said, the right timing was the moment that you walked into that office and you turned in your resignation, because I had already given you the permission to step out of corporate. It had to be at the moment your faith was at its peak for you to do it. And that's what happened. And, when you get a vision on the inside of you, and you realize it's connected to the passion in you. See, God gives us a passion. We all have something on the inside that gets us up out of bed in the morning. And maybe you haven't discovered that, but you need to discover it, because humanity is waiting for that to come out of you. And once you do, then that's what drives you. And you realize, like, look, nothing can stop this. This vision is so big on the inside of me. I already see what it's supposed to be and where we're headed, and the lives being changed and generations being impacted through humanity coming together to do what we've been born to do, which is help each other, because we truly do need each other.
Yeah.
I already see it. So nothing can stop it. So I just keep pushing to do the steps he gives, because I see the end, so I'm just running for it.
Whoa, that's so powerful. I mean, my goodness, I feel like we could talk for like hours, even just on some of the stuff that you just unpacked, protecting that dream. As you were saying that, of course, what comes to mind is the story of Joseph, and he shares it with his brothers, who were not his biggest fans. They were not his cheerleaders. They were not in his corner, and then wanted to do everything they could do to destroy him, And so that is so important. I mean, that is huge in sharing with people who will say, yes, I believe in you. And yes, I can hear, I will pray for you, so that I also can hear clearly, because the word tells us in a multitude of counselors, there's safety. So when you have that wise counsel around you, then you are guarded. I think that's why community is important. That's why it's important for you not to do life alone, because we really do need people. All of the things that you're saying are just so ringing true and resonating with that. But well, that's so powerful. I love that. And everyone needs to find out what their purpose is, and that's a whole other topic in itself. But I love that you said, and if you don't know, then ask. I remember hearing a message back in 1992, and that was the message that changed my life. I was visiting my sister's youth group, which was the church that I was already attending, but I would just go on Sunday morning when I wasn't hungover, and when I wasn't, when my mom would force me to go, she would say, as long as you're under my roof, you're going to go. And so I remember going, to Wednesday night service and hearing, that God had a plan for my life. And I'd never heard that before. And I thought, what plan? And if that's true, then what is it? Because here I am just doing my own thing. I was already on my way to University of Colorado in Boulder. I had already received a letter of acceptance. I was in the communications department, all of these things. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, stop. And I had to totally unwind. And you have to be willing to do the steps also to pursue purpose. It doesn't matter how deep in the opposite of purpose you're in. When you're in the opposite of your purpose and you understand that there is purpose, you need to do whatever steps it takes to come back to starting point and start going in the direction that of the things that God has for you. So I'm so glad that you did. And I remember first hearing about your app and thinking, wow, first of all, what a beautiful heart. And it's not just a heart, because you see the passion that's there behind you. You're very passionate about meeting people's needs. And so, what did that process look like for you, first of all, even just to get the app set up? Because I was I was very involved recently in the development of an app for my church for about a good year. And it was a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of, putting all the information in these containers. I mean, it was a lot of work. So what did that look like for you, first of all?
It was a lot of work, but it was the easiest work that I've ever done, because the approach was so much different than what we're used to, as far as like kind of making things happen in our own power. When you go to tackle something like this that is God given, what ended up happening is my schedule changed, and ever since I stepped out of corporate America, I have woke up earlier in the morning than I ever did before, because
Love
the
it.
first hour of my day is before the throne and in the Word, to get that download from the Father on, what do you want here? Because I had zero, I like to say actually -0. I had no experience in any of what I was. If I tell you the jobs I held before, you'd be like, then you ended up, this makes no sense. There was nothing in my wheelhouse, so to speak, that was preparing me to just make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that so awesome? Because I can't take any of the credit for what's happening, and even for how he's led me in this. And so he literally gives us step by step as we seek him. And I really felt like, Moses, when he got the instructions for the tabernacle from the Lord, and it was just piece by piece. This is what God will do if we just lean in to him and spend that time with him. And it's better. This is not to undermine anything. Well, I guess it actually is to undermine everything that the world has to offer, because this is the ultimate source, the all-knowing one. And sometimes we put too much value in this outward worldly system, that we are eliminating the all-knowing, all-powerful God that can produce results like nobody's business if you just do what he says. And so I'm learning, like, in some cases the hard way, like, don't spin your wheels here, just do this little thing. And then you just sit back and you go, oh my gosh, like that did way more than I could have ever done. And so it's just been that. It has been literally seeking God. How do you want this? And also listening to people. But when people, because everyone has an opinion, everyone has a thought, everyone, no matter where they're at or what they've done in life, they all think they know what you should do. And I take all of it. I'll hear you. But then I take it before the throne. All right, Lord, is it for now? Is this for later? Is it on the shelf temporarily, or does it stay there forever? I mean, he has the plan. And the cool thing is, he just doesn't give you the idea and then let you figure it out. He actually has the tactical steps for you to carry it out. And we think we need to know it all right at the start. He doesn't work like that, but he will always give you something to do with what you already have. See, oftentimes we think we need to wait for this to happen, or I have to have this much money in the bank before this can happen. No, read every account of the Bible. Just for an example, Moses, when he parted the Red Sea, what did the Lord say? Take the rod that's in your hand, not go to the market down the street and buy a rod. No, take what you have in your hand, put it in the water, and then let me do the really cool part, so I get all the glory. And this is what he does. He takes what's in our hands, if we'll do what he says, and then he does the really great stuff.
Wow. So good. And that, my folks, is the show. We just had church.
Pretty close.
Wow, that is so good. Oh my goodness. Yes, taking what you have. And that's so true. Because I know we can attest to that here on our show. I would say for me, the Lord gave me this dream almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
But it just wasn't the time. And then this year, in the middle of the pandemic, is when I started sensing, like, get ready, this is the year. And it's like, what? And then when it was like, okay, prepare and then launch, I'm like, wait, launch? We're right in the middle of the pandemic. So it looked nothing like what I had thought, but yet exactly what you're saying. You just have to step out. And it was like, well, what do we have? What do you have? And so we're just using what we have and we're having a blast. And I totally get what you're saying, because this for me is one of the funnest and coolest things I've ever had the chance to do. And I'm just so excited. I feel so honored that I would get to do that and get to bring amazing people like you on here to share your wisdom and your passion, your excitement with our viewers, because people need to be inspired. We all need that inspiration. We all need that motivation. Everyone's at somewhere different in their lives and different level in different places. And so when you know, what might appeal to one person may not appeal to another. But so this is why we just have different guests on here who could just come and share their wisdom and their wealth of what they know and what they've walked through, to say, hey, if I could do it, if, you know, like what you said, the Lord, it's God's ability in you. He takes that which is impossible in the natural, but he breathes into it and makes it possible. So I love that. It's just so good. And it's just, even for me, I was getting inspired when I leave my show. I'm like, wow, that was so good. I'm writing all of these things down. I'm going, well, that's a whole topic in itself. He has the plan. That's a message right there.
Yeah, he does. He has the plan.
He has the plan with all the tactical steps. And I just think it's so important, because you can want to spin your wheels over and over and over and over again. And really, it's just so simple. Just do what he says and let him do the rest. Let him do the rest. Well, I know that so many have been blessed by your app, and you probably have so many amazing stories and things that you've heard or even maybe even seen firsthand. What would some of those, are you able to share any of those stories?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's so many. I want to encourage everyone, though, to get on Bless. It's a Bless for all humanity.
Yes.
It's not just for Christians, even though I am a believer. The Lord told me this is to be for everybody. I don't care what color, race, religion. We want the world on Bless. It's a place where you can come and you can share a need without judgment, where you can offer help to people. And I love to just give on purpose, with purpose, to change lives and impact generations. It's so much more different than just trying to get rid of things. So we're really working on changing the mentality of humanity in many different areas with this concept. So you can get on there and actually check out the blessings feed for yourself and see what's happening. But there have been so many lives changed. And, you know, as we started diving into Bless, and I just didn't even realize how many children would be impacted through this app, and watching their parents' lives be impacted because people, strangers, stepping outside of themselves to help them in their time of need. And it could be, you know, it could be simple things. You don't have to be destitute to be on Bless. You could just need a cup of sugar from your neighbor, like for real. It could be a listening ear. You know, I can't tell you how many people are on the app that, even though I can't meet whatever need that has pricked and pierced my heart, but just being there for them, being there available when they're going through challenges has been something that I've been thanked for more than anything, knowing that I'm not alone. See, we need each other. So that's a big one. But we've seen needs be met that have just been amazing. And one this year, you know, we've all been through some difficulties with 2020. This young lady was in a different state. I think it was South Carolina, if I remember correctly. But she posted a need on Bless, an urgent need, because she was on the verge of being evicted. And she had an 8-month-old baby, single mom. And you just go, oh my gosh. So I reached out to her. I wanted to know more of her story, wanted to make sure she was legit. I mean, this is the reality of the day we live in. We do have a system in place called Vouch for Me. That's another way we're teaching people to be accountable on Bless. Like, you don't just come in here and just be whoever. No, we want to know you're real, you know, so that system's in place. But people are getting used to it. So I'll vet people, you know. And so I got on the phone with her. She shared her heart, the challenges. She'd been working, but COVID, you know, the story. And she needed $1,500, Cyndi. And I thought, I don't know how that is going to happen. I said, but let me see what I can do. Like, and I was prompted in my heart to just share her need further. And so I shared the need from Bless on the Facebook, and I said, man, you know, if 150 of my nearly 5,000 friends on Facebook could give up $10, we could save this mom and her baby.
Wow.
And it was crickets. Nothing. Silence for hours.
Oh,
And I
wow.
thought, oh no. I thought, okay, well, Lord, I'm doing all I know to do. I'm doing what I can with what I have, right? This is what we do. And then all of a sudden, comments started rolling in. Done, done, done. And then people reaching out to me directly. I want to give this. Can you get this money to her? Can you meet me? I have money for her. In less than 24 hours, her need was exceeded. Her
Wow.
faith in humanity was restored. This is just a young girl in her 20s with an
Wow.
8-month-old baby. And the part that really touched me the most was when she said, can I stay in touch with you after all this? You've changed my life. She says, but more importantly, I want my son to know about this. I want him to carry this on. And I thought, oh my gosh, like this is what I'm talking about, changing lives one need at a time and impacting generations through the power of Bless. And we've seen all this happen, and we've just gone through the Christmas season, and we have had people, originally when I started Bless, I thought, oh, I'll make it like every other app, we'll have ads so we can generate some revenue. The Lord said, no ads. You're not going to have ads. This is a free gift for all humanity. This will be a pure platform. The people are not the product. Wonderful. I'm all for it because I don't like ads. So let's do it your way. You know better. And so we've offered this pure platform for humanity. And I thought, we'll just make it all the same. And so I didn't realize though in this that with changing lives one need at a time that we would impact the children like we're seeing it. Because again, I thought this would be just like anything else, but God has something different in mind where he really wants to see lives impacted. So we've gone through Christmas now and we don't have ads, but people are always going, how can we support Bless and what Bless is doing? So I got the release a couple months back to introduce Bless Supply. And people can just give monetarily to Bless. We're not a nonprofit. The Lord said it should be a for-profit company. So Bless is a for-profit. And people are giving monetary gifts to help propel the vision forward and to bless families. So I got to deliver gifts to so many families. We touched, I think it was just over 40 children for the holiday. Just me going around my local community because of people giving donations to be able to put gifts under trees where parents were stressing. We've got nothing for our kids. And so can you imagine though, when communities come together and it's not just me, but it's someone like you and your neighbor and everyone doing a little bit here and there to make a difference. Can you imagine the impact that we'll make and how this world will be transformed? I mean, this is the vision of this. This is what we're doing and where we're headed.
Wow. So powerful. And I'm so moved. And I have downloaded the app, but definitely want some more of that information on how we can even support Bless Supply. So that you can keep doing what you're doing, but to be able to have stories like this and the testimony on the other end, the single mom who, didn't get evicted and had a newborn child and then even been able to put 40 plus gifts under the, for kids this Christmas. I mean, that is just truly amazing. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's so awesome to see how God is using your app as a result of you just stepping out and just doing what you sensed that he was having you do. And so very powerful. Is there anything else that you want to share with us? Wow. Like I said, we could have you on here for a while.
I don't want to go on much longer. I know you have your other guests too. So I just want to invite everybody. You can head over to the website, bless-app.com. From there, you can get the app for free from the Apple app and the Google Play Store. You can also click up in the menu there. You'll find Bless Supply. You can give via PayPal or Venmo. If you'd like to give a different way, you can always contact us. There's contact us on the website as well. And you can follow Bless on all the social media. And wherever you find Bless, you're going to connect with me. And when you get on the app, you will hear from me directly. I am there, active on it all the time, and reach out to every single new user. So just thank you, Cyndi, so much for the opportunity to share with you and your viewers today. As you can tell, I've got a ton more in me. We could go on for a whole long time, but thank you again very much.
Absolutely. Well, we will definitely have you back, because there's always opportunities to give and to bless really every day. And it's
Yes,
not just because it's the same, but there really is a truth that it is more blessed to give than to receive. But also, as you give and you give and you sow, then it will be given back to you. And we don't give for that reason, but it's what happens. It's just a natural product.
yes,
Just like when you drop something off the top of the ledge of a building, it's going to fall because of the law of gravity. And it's the same thing. It's a law that's already set in place that happens as you give and you give, it is given back to you. So
so
thank
true.
you for giving. I pray that you continue to also experience God's blessing as you've given and just the work and the fruit of your hands. In fact, I don't really ever pray like this on my show, but can I pray for you real quick?
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, Father God, we just thank you so much. I thank you for Tara. I thank you for her ministry. I thank you for this app, this idea that you dropped in her heart and that she said, yes, okay, and I will run with it. Father, I thank you that 2021 takes things exceedingly abundantly above anything she could ever ask or think. And for those that are under the sound of my voice that are even listening and inspired by what she's sharing, I thank you, Lord, that you would show them their part, what it is that they're to do. If there's a way that they can give, but at the very least to download the app so that they are aware how you've called us to be united so that we can be used to meet people's needs regardless of where we're at in life. And so I thank you, Lord, that you just continue to surround her with your blessing, Father. Thank you that she hears clearly from you. And we thank you that you will take what was done and, Father, you will cause it to multiply like only what you can do 100-fold in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Amen. I receive it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tara. Well, don't forget to go to her Instagram, download the app. You just go Bless app. And let's see, because it looks like this. Let me just make sure that this is the right one.
It's black and white.
Black and white.
Yep, that's it. Bless.
Okay, so that's it. So I'm just now jumping on this as you're sharing. I'm like, okay, you need to jump on it right now. She's talking about it. So jump on the app. That's the most important thing. And then, of course, bless-app.com.
Yep.
And then if you have any questions, then you can just reach out to us and we're going to have that information for you as well. We will on the recap and on our social media so that you don't forget to be a part of what God's doing through Bless App and through Tara's ministry. Thank you so much, Tara. It was a pleasure having you on here. All righty. Have a good one. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Woo! That was so good, so powerful, so inspiring what has been done, all the lives that have been impacted. And I'm going to try to hold it together because those stories just really messed with me. By one woman's obedience, being able to impact the lives of all the way across the nation in another state through this app. And you, my friend, you are all of us, every one of us are called and purposed to do something great. You all have ideas. And so my heart is that with what you just heard from Tara, yes, to be a part of the app, jump on and get that app. But also we want to encourage you that you also have ideas and there are things that have been placed in your heart. Maybe it's writing a book, maybe it's writing poems, maybe it's building a website, maybe it's launching a website of merchandise. There's so many different things. Maybe you're opening up a dog business, maybe you're going back to school. Whatever that dream in your heart is, we want to see it happen. We want to see it happen. We want to hear the stories of the things that you stepped out to do, that something new that you stepped out to do. So exciting. Thank you again so much, Tara. Well, don't go away. We will be back with more. And I hope you have your workout gear on because we're going to do a little workout with our next special guest. But before we do, let's go ahead and take a real quick look at a beautifully produced Christmas video for candlelighting. And if you have not had a chance to watch it, there's still time. It's on demand. Here we go. There we go. So that is the true story of Christmas. And I'll tell you what, we've already had over 16,000 views. And every person that I have heard from, we've all said the same thing. It's just so beautifully produced with such a heart-warming time. It was produced by, our church, The Rock, and our pastors told the story. They narrated, they went through the book of Luke, and there were kids in there just being the shepherds and the angels. And then some of our worship team were singing these beautiful songs that were part of the story. And so I'm even just going to encourage you, if you haven't yet had a chance to do it, that might be a really nice thing to do on New Year's Eve. Might be a really special way to bring in the new year, and remembering to get those candles. And it's just a really special time. So if you haven't yet checked it out, you can go to gototherock.com. And well, let me see now. I'm not sure if it's still up on there. I'm hoping that it's still on there, but if not, we will still provide information on our social media as well this week, so you can jump on there. So, oh my goodness. So we've been stretched for sure already with the wonderful Tara sharing how she stepped out of her comfort zone and to launch this Bless app. But we're going to be stretched some more with our next guest. But before we bring her out here, let's take a real quick look at some of what we're about to see.
Hey guys, welcome to today's ab routine. We are going to make sure that your core is on fire by the end of a handful of minutes. You're not going to need any equipment. Just make a little space and let's get started. 1, back press and twist. Good. Hang tight. Keep going. Feet off the ground. Feet off the ground. If you need to drop them down, that's okay, but pop it right back up as soon as you can. Twist. Good. Using those obliques. Whew. Last 6, 5, 4, 3, last 2, and 1. Whew, that's it. Great job on that ab routine. Short and sweet, but right to the point. I hope you guys loved it. Make sure you cycle through a couple more times if you do have time, or stack on with the other workouts here on the channel. Leave a comment, give it a thumbs up if you have intentions of doing this routine, or if you actually already knocked it out. And if you are on social media, so am I at kelseylee.com. I'd love to hear from you. Don't be a stranger, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Too cute. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to have our next guest on here. We've been waiting for her to come on this show for about 2 months now and counting. So would you welcome with me to our virtual set, Miss Kelsey Lee Hollenbeck. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
I can, and I just cannot tell you, I cannot believe that you are actually on our show.
I know. So should we briefly just talk about the hailstorm that we had right before this?
Okay, so yeah, tell me about this. So here's the thing, and you know this, but our viewers don't know this. So 2 times we wanted to have you on here. Right. The first time, your power was out due to the fires in Irvine, right? What was that like? Because I know there was a lot of chaos. You've got your horses. You lost some food, because of the power being shut down for so long. But what was that like, and what ended up happening, and how long was your home in that area caught up in all of that?
So I think the first time that happened, because we had 2 stints of fires, right? And I think power was shut off the first time, and then it was threatened to be turned off the second. So we were like, let's just rain check this one more time. And the first time I just did a big Costco run. We have this extra freezer. I put all this food in there. Should have been good to go for like 3 or 4 weeks. And we lost everything. It was up, I think, 26 hours. So that was an unfortunate situation for people who don't have a generator.
Oh my goodness. I know, that's awful. As you were telling me, like, this is what's possibly going to be happening, I was thinking, when I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had a really bad ice storm.
Right.
And our power went out. It took about 24 hours, but you could hear it when the icicles started falling. You would hear the bzz. And I was like, oh, please don't let that happen to our house. And sure enough, my roommate's like, our power's out. But because it was so cold, we put everything out into a chest, an ice box, and we just left it on her back porch. It was 30 degrees outside for a week. So everything kept. Right. But I was thinking, and then it's like, no, it's not the case. Like, unless she has another, like what you said, a generator, another power source, that food's going to go bad. I am so sorry to hear that.
Lesson learned. We now have a couple generators, and the second time it happened, so the last time we were supposed to hang out here, we got 120 pounds of ice from just the grocery store, you know, the 20 pounders. So we got 6 of those bags, and we stuffed it in the fridge and the freezer, and then the power didn't go off. So, of course, the time I'm prepared.
I know. So I'm like, okay, should we just plan? Should we keep our fingers crossed for the last Monday of the year?
I know. I was like, oh, we have to make this happen. This should not be this hard. Like hanging out shouldn't be this hard. Hopping on the computer or our phones with some video should not be that much of a challenge.
I know. Well, it's so good to have you on here. And then your horses, how are the horses doing?
They're good. Right before this, like I was saying, we had that little moment of a hailstorm, which is very rare for us here in Southern California. Very rare. It was actually pretty heavy. So I'm out there.
Yeah, we've had some thunder too. It's like, oh, wow, this is interesting. It's not the norm.
It's not, but we need it. So there is that, which is good. So praise the Lord that we have some rain.
Yes, more rain.
But Dundee, he's our biggest boy. He's my husband's police horse. He's kind of territorial. There he is.
There he is, sweet boy. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to meet him.
I know you will love him. So he's kind of funny with their shelter essentially. So in his stall, he shares it with the pony, but pony is not allowed to come under the cover when it's raining, which is extremely rude. So
gotcha.
It was raining, it was hailing. So I'm running out there. That's why I said I'm getting on disheveled. So I'm running out there. I grab a halter, I put it on pony, and I drag him under the shelter. And of course, Dundee's sitting there giving us dirty looks and trying to push us out. I'm like, you're being such a jerk. Knock it off.
Oh my goodness. Now, pony, is that a nickname for Western, or is pony really a different horse named Pony?
Sparky Pony. I think you've seen Sparky Pony. He's the little one. He lives with Dundee. He's kind of they love to play and antagonize each other, but they're good buddies. Yeah, they're
good buddies. And I was sure to also wanted to show little. Now this one is Western. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I love horses, and of course, I would love to even chat a little bit more about your horse world. And then of course, even just Tyler, with everything that's going on, pandemic related. And then, thankfully those riots have simmered down, but it just seems like there's still a lot of aftermath of things that are happening. Unfortunately, we need our police departments. We need the sheriff. It's like, I wish that people would understand that not one little bad apple doesn't mean that they're all bad apples. And it would be the same. It's the same thing that we don't like. It's the same thing as myself. I don't like to be judged. I don't want to be judged as a woman of color based on something wrong, that maybe something different that another woman of color has done, maybe to get herself in jail or things like that. I don't want to be judged for that. And yet I feel like we've done the very same thing to our police departments, and it's very heartbreaking. It's very unfortunate. I did, and I think I shared with you, I did have the opportunity to pray, lead a time of prayer for the LAPD and the LA sheriffs a few Friday mornings ago at 7 a.m. It was a conference call, and I was so blessed, and I was so touched. It was so very moving to me. I just wanted them to know, like, you are cared for, you are prayed for, and we honor you. We need you. We need you, and we need to support. We need to say, I'm sorry. Would you forgive all of us, our nation, for coming at you, coming against you the way that we have, even though personally I haven't, but I feel like as a nation and as a people, we do need to just say, forgive us, for those little few that are not good, for a little bit of those few that do misuse and mistreat. I know that that's not the case for a majority of our police officers and sheriffs.
We could stay here for hours and talk about this stuff, but it's every industry. The problem is, and we know this, where there are people, there will be problems. That's the way of the world, unfortunately, because again, where there's people, there will be problems. And so you cannot always navigate weeding out the ones who don't need to be in certain roles in life anymore. And
that goes for every industry. It does. Not just law
Right.
enforcement, it's military, it's hospital, it's teachers, it's the education system, it's politics, it's
retail.
it's retail, it's everything. It's restaurant industry. I mean, it's ministry, it's church. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And yet, most are there for the right reasons. And then there'll be those one or two or the few that are not. And so I just wish like we would get it as America as a whole. We would just get it like, oh, I get it.
I know. I think there would be a great, very practical solution to this if people were more willing, is to do ride-alongs with your local departments, get to know the folks who are in those uniforms and who carry a badge, because the majority of those that I know and personally and have met through my lifetime are very good people. They're just family folks like most of us, and they do the job well. So
yeah, it's true. And, I would say, it's one of those things like, yes, I know Tyler is, there, and I have my hairdresser, a really good girlfriend of mine, her husband's in LAPD. And so I do have pockets of friends. Another dear friend, Christina, her husband is in law enforcement, but my sister, I know they're out in Wisconsin, and I don't really know what it was that enticed her, but she all of a sudden wanted to become a part of like this, like a neighborhood ambassador kind of a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and all of a sudden, she's filling out an application, and then she was a part of maybe a couple of people that were selected to be a part of the ride-alongs, and she was given a real cool t-shirt, and then now she's actually been installed as a chaplain for both the fire and the police department. This was a couple of years ago. And so this past November, and I'm not even sure, honestly, if she still is, just, everything going on, but I do know that I was just honored to be a part of her team that on Thanksgiving morning, every year her church delivers breakfast. They brought them Starbucks, they brought them bagels, and then lunch is brought into them. I think that came from, and it's the church that does it. It's like the people in the church are put, and I loved that. Yes. I was like, man, I wish every police department, every sheriff department was able to receive this type, and fire department was able to receive this type of thank you and type of honor, because it's like the very least we could do for so much that they put their lives at risk for us.
Right. It's such a fluid and dynamic, complex job. And it's hard to even call it a job, having the functional experience as someone who's been married to somebody who was active duty Marine Corps and now a police officer, really see the nitty gritty of what it takes to do that job justice.
Yes.
And, oh my goodness. Well, Tyler, my husband, it's like he has the patience of Job, and good, because I think in that role, you need to be a patient person and have some compassion and empathy 24/7, 365.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. And, and I'll just be very frank and honest. When I lived in Orange, which was about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I did get pulled over for something. And it was something very minor, like, I don't know, maybe, honestly, I don't even know what it was, because I didn't get a ticket. It was like a fix-it thing. But I was devastated because it was a young cop. And one of the first questions he asked me was how many times I'd been convicted. It would be easy for me to say from that point on, I just dubbed every law, but no, I realized that was him. This was a single situation, somebody who's uneducated and untaught. I said, well, actually, I'm a minister and I've never been convicted. Thank you very much. And so no apology, no, I'm sorry, ma'am, anything like that. So yes, it was heartbreaking and devastating, but there is enough maturity in me to understand this was a singled out situation. And I'm still thankful and grateful for our law enforcement. So,
right. So not that we decided to come on here to talk law enforcement, but I think it's,
I know.
I think it's healthy to be able to have these kind of conversations. And I've had my fair share of being pulled over and stopped. And I've had a handful of engagements, which I didn't love. And I don't necessarily think they were the best candidates for the job. But I know there are some amazing candidates for the job who are in those positions.
Yes.
But unfortunately, you do these crazy psychological and background checks. Some departments do a better job than others. But if they don't do that due diligence,
Yeah.
or if there's not enough funding for those things and people equipped and trained to go through those processes for candidates, unfortunately, we have conversations like that. You know, how, oh, because I look a certain way, you are assuming that X, Y, Z. And it's a problem that goes full circle from every angle. So
Exactly. Well, yes, and at some point I do have some guests coming on in the future where we can have these conversations. So I'm really excited about that as well. But we brought you here actually tonight because we want to talk about, going into 2021. We just come out of the holidays. I know one of the things that a lot of people are gung-ho. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to drop all this weight, or I'm going to get in the best shape ever. And while that is all fine and dandy and great, I know a lot of times people will lose momentum after the first day.
Right.
After
Been
January
there. Been there.
right? After the first week, and then they start to wind down. And so really, I think, with you and I talking about, well, what we wanted to do was encourage people to practical things that they can apply that will stick. It'll help them stick so that they really do finish out 2021 strong and better than the way that they went into 2021.
Right. And I think that's important because I know we talked about New Year, New You is not my favorite thing. I am guilty of using that term in my own personal marketing for my role as a personal trainer and, plugging new people in. But I just find over the years that never works. That mentality never works because there's this expectation that you're going to have some grandiose change physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever it might be. And that's just not how it works. I mean, I wish it was, but you don't see drastic change in 8 to 12 weeks. That's practical and sustainable. Typically, there is always the exception. Somebody goes all in 0 to 60, handful of weeks, or maybe a couple of months, and they stick and stick. But because it's a lifestyle, that's usually not the case because then life happens again. We're less intentional with what we put in our bodies. Our food doesn't look that great. We might have too much fun food. We don't drink enough water. We're not active enough. So there's all these variables that come into play that really have to be looked at long term. And if we New Year, New You, it's like, oh, just like you said, do all these things all at once and all the change is going to happen. But again, it doesn't work that way.
No, that's so good. And I love that you said the long-term variables because I know, so example for me, about September, I just was like, I've had it. I've reached my lowest of lows in feeling awful, in not feeling healthy. I don't feel well. I don't look well. I'm lethargic, it was all of these things. And so I really just got in my prayer closet and said, Lord, what do I need to do? And help me. I need your wisdom. And I just felt like I had this download, and it was nothing. It wasn't anything like major. I mean, yes, there were things I needed to do. Bread is not in my refrigerator. Okay. Soda is not in my refrigerator. French fries, I'm not going to the drive. I'm actually not even really going through the drive-through, but every now and then I'll do it maybe once a month or something like that. And it was just like a lot of salad, a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables. And then here's the, chicken. If you want your turkey bacon, I don't like regular bacon all the time. If you want a little bit of cuts of cheese, if you want some nuts, do your water, do your coffee. I don't like anything diet because I like food. Yeah. So I got real salsa. I have real bruschetta, and I'll dip some of my carrots in there with some cheese. I mean, I feel like I'm still eating like a queen. And yet publicly, I will say that I've lost 30 pounds since doing this. Now, this is not, I haven't even started working out yet. I'll do like an occasional walk, but I have to say that I definitely have more energy than I have had in years. And then I find I'm feeling a little more zippier, and it's like, oh, let me get some fun. I'm going to get some cute little Danskin workout pants. And I need to get like a nice little tennis shoe that gives me some bounce. And so I definitely am, I'm turning, it's like this ship is kind of going, and it's putting me more towards that. But again, I feel like it didn't take me overnight to get to where I was when I hit rock bottom.
Right.
It took years.
Right.
And so I feel like patience. We need to have patience.
Yes,
and,
patience,
and yeah,
consistency.
and forgive yourself. Like forgive yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Right. And just so what you're saying, patience and consistency, time and consistency with within the right parameters. And that looks different for most people. But like you're saying, giving yourself some grace essentially along the way. Because if we come to a place, like you're saying, you don't feel and look your best, whatever that looks like for you, it probably didn't happen in the last 6 months. Maybe it took 2 years or 12 years or maybe longer.
Exactly.
So take those things into consideration when we're making changes, we're implementing better habits, more mindful choices. We're keeping in mind, you got to be slow and steady. That'll win the race. So it's good to hear you say that.
I love that. Slow and steady. That's what wins the race. What else can you say? Because you talked about water. I mean, I just know you have so much wisdom, and between articles that you've written for different magazines and just all the different fitness related events or organizations or programs that you've been a part of. What would you say would be your top 3 things, top 4 things, or 5 if it needs to be, that really can help?
Okay, so now that you opened that door, let's remind ourselves that there's, again, all these variables. So your eating needs to be good. Your water intake needs to be good. 90 ounces has mostly always been my baseline for people. Try for 90 ounces a day. If you miss by 10 to 20, at least you're not super dehydrated. If you get a whole gallon in because you're active, great. So food and water, super important. What you're eating, are you getting enough protein, enough fiber from good carbohydrates, from your vegetables? Cooked veggies are going to be a little easier to digest for people who have trouble in that area, which is common.
Yes.
So the food, the nutrition, and the water. But there's also things like your stress levels, what's going on with your hormones. Is that stuff in check? Is your sleep cycle healthy? Are you getting 7 to 8 hours most nights a week? Because it matters. So there's that.
Yes, there's that. That's good. I'm writing it all down.
And of course, your activity levels. So, I talk about focused workout time. So if I'm working with a client, obviously our one-on-one in-person or online sessions, that's focused workout time. However, that's only a couple hours throughout each week. So what are other ways that people can get moving on their own throughout every single day? That's just going to help healthy movement patterns. It's going to get oxygen into the body. It's basically just going to help regulate your mood and obviously increase your overall activity levels and your caloric deficit, because that's what helps keep us leaner. So those things are important. So not that we're going all the places right now, but parking further away so you walk to where you need to go, or getting outside for a walk. That's always simple. Walks and hikes are good. Biking is good. For me, being out with the horses, that's a big one. Is there stuff that you can do in the house? Can you walk around from one end to the other or upstairs to downstairs just to get more steps in? There's lots of simple ways that we can incorporate that. It's just the tendency is not to, because it's easy just to sit here and be on my phone or be snacking on things, when it's like, take a breather, move around. So
that's good. So how frequently would you say, like, for you're talking about getting movement in your body and just so you can get more oxygen in your body. So how, for someone that's doing nothing, what would you say? Like, is 3 times a week a good amount? Two times? Obviously you said, when you're doing your workout sessions, your focused workout, that's maybe once a week, maybe twice. So what is good for every one of us that we should be doing, weekly? How many days should we be moving?
So the gentle answer is as much as you are able to practically sustain right now.
Okay.
The hard truth, because sometimes the truth isn't always super easy to digest, is we should all be moving our bodies for at least 35, 40, 45 minutes a day. You don't need to overtrain and go so gung-ho that you're overwhelming your system and essentially creating more cortisol production in the body, which is a stress hormone, which is counterproductive. So we don't need to be doing two-a-days or hours of cardio a week. That's not really as important as just consistent movement. So 35 minutes is a good baseline, 3 to 5 times a week as your foundation. So if you can do more than that, you're in a good zone. 3 to 5 days a week would be what I would say is minimum.
Very good. And that's so doable.
It is.
I think it sounds very doable, like very healthy. It sounds very balanced. That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Very balanced. So I love that. Okay. So, and then do you have a few, you talked about doing indoor, workouts. So for example, it's raining today.
Yeah.
So say today was a day that I was planning on working out, which is not, I'm like, that comes in for me. I'm like, let me just finish this. And then when I finish this year out, then I'll incorporate walking. Maybe I think I was doing walking like once a week when I was visiting my mom. She's actually a walker. So I think I went walking with her like 2 or 3 times out there.
Okay.
And that felt good. It was very cold though, so that wasn't fun. I do like brisk walking. I used to like jogging a lot actually, but it's not fun to jog when you have this extra weight front and back. It's a little painful and uncomfortable, truth be told. Right. So I'm still wanting a brisk walk still for a while before I can start like jumping up, like running,
like running. And if you don't need to run. And we're close enough. We can go on hikes and we can conjoin when it's safe to do so. So
yeah, I like that. All right. So what do you have for us today? What things can we do at home while we are still in lockdown?
Well, of course, all the workouts on my YouTube channel, those are reusable, recycle those. People can use those over and over, dynamic stuff. So there's plenty there. But as far as just getting up and moving in the morning, we can talk about a couple different levels through your day. So when you wake up, this is kind of a cheesy thing, but think about getting out of bed. So typically, if I'm going to roll out of bed in the morning, it's just kind of like you roll over and then you kind of throw yourself up and stand up. So you can always do it really purposefully. So you sit up and then you move to the edge of the bed. You plant both your feet to create a good, healthy movement pattern. And then you stand up like you're doing a squat. So you stand directly up. And for sake of the screen, I won't do that right now. But when you're standing up, just like you would drive up through the heels in a squat position, you would do the same thing. Start your day balanced, ergonomically correct.
Yeah.
And I'm also all for getting your arms up over your head early in the morning. So some of this stuff, open it up, bring it down and around. So things that just help you open up your lungs, get your breathing, open up the chest. Because if we can counteract the protraction, that closing in of the shoulders,
that's
that we
good
when we're doing this, right? I mean, I'm very guilty of that. If I'm on my phone here, hanging out, you start to close in this angle here, these angles.
Yeah.
We can open the chest, lift the sternum just a little bit,
the
engage the core in our daily movements. That's going to do everything for your posture. And that does mood, which is nice. Because if we're kind of in this funky positioning in our body, our mood tends to follow. So it's one of those, get the joy of the Lord in you, open the chest up, lift through the sternum, good lung capacity. So those things are really important to do right away. See, because it is, because it's simple stuff. Just getting arms up overhead, bringing it back and down. My couch is in the way. But just being able to, you can protract your arms, you're going to retract those shoulder blades, open up the chest, simple stuff. And really open up the chest and then press back out. Just doing a couple of these in the morning, just get things moving. So again, small, simple steps. But I know you said that you have some weights with you.
I do have some here. I never use them.
Do you want to grab them?
Sure. I have weights that I never use. I have those little stretchy bands I never use. I have the yoga mat.
You know what you do? So grab your weights. Grab your 3-pounders, because I've got some 5s here. Okay. And we don't have to move. I mean, I don't think we can move because lighting and stuff. Yeah. Not like you can't see my giant light in the back.
And then am I going to sit or what am I going to do?
You can still sit. Let's sit.
Okay.
Just in case someone's watching and they're like, hey, I'm sitting here. I could go grab some things that weigh a couple pounds if they don't have weights.
3 pounds.
Okay. Perfect.
Ooh, I like yours.
Do you? I think these are from like Sport Chalet back in the day. I had so many pairs from boot camps and they come in handy these days.
Those are nice.
Okay. So simple stuff. We'll start with your pinkies or your little cinnamon rolls facing me. This is going to go out of frame. So we are going to have these right alongside under the jaw or the ears, and you're going to drive straight up through the elbow into a press. Good. And then my jacket's not helping, but your goal here is to not allow the shoulders to come up into the ears. So does that make sense? So it's kind of like you pull the
so not like this.
Right, because now my jacket looks like it look like I have no neck. So bring it down with those elbows still facing forward, and then lower those arms back to starting position. This is just a very basic shoulder press.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
that looks good. And drive back up. Exhale. Good. Bring it back down, nice and slow. Okay. So keep driving up. Now, if you're just watching, do these with us, even if you don't have
them with us.
Yes.
Do them with us, y'all. Get your arms above your head.
Yes, I'm all for that simple stuff. And we're not doing a full-blown workout, but at least I can show you a couple things everybody can do, even if it's do the motions without resistance.
Well, you got me to get my weights out, so that's a huge part.
Perfect. Okay, I support that. Let's drive up a couple more times. Let's go for 2. Really good. Exhale on the way up.
Oh.
There you go.
Excellent.
Yep. Okay, now turn your palms towards me. Looking like that. Perfect. Now drive straight up and together. So almost like you're making a triangle from your elbows and wrists up and together. So your wrists should be very close together at the top. Let the weights kiss. Okay. Bring them back down. Good, good, good.
And I'm exhaling as I go up.
Yes, we exhale when we exert the most energy. So drive it back up. Exhale. Yep. Awesome. Let's do 4 of these. You can do 4.
Yes.
Good, good.
Hope you guys are doing these with us.
I know, I'll have to look at the comments. Go all the way up. There you go. Press back down. And this is, again, simple stuff. And we could be much more dynamic and we could get up and jump around. But just for sake of doing something
Jump around.
Yeah. But don't weights in your hands, especially if you're in this position because your shoulders, you need to be careful.
Not to get down. Okay. Yes.
Right. Okay. Bring these guys down.
Okay.
Now, if you are seated close enough to your seat that you can do a bicep curl.
With the weight still?
With your weight.
Oh.
You can definitely still use your weights. You absolutely can.
Okay.
So you have your arms extended all the way down. Let's see if I can kind of cheat my little camera space here. So you're going to bring your arms all the way down, but those elbows stay hinged at your sides.
Okay.
So you get them there whenever you do a bicep curl. Mm-hmm. Elbows are nice and locked at the sides. Can't see your elbows, so this is honor system.
Honor. Yeah. Honor. Well, and I have a little silver. I have silver armrests here.
I know, I've got the couch. So I'm like, this isn't okay. But your arms are down at your sides. The elbows stay nice and still. And all you do is hinge at the elbow, raising the forearms, squeeze at the top, and back down. Simple bicep curl.
Okay. I never do any of these. So even though, like, I should know how to do these.
Well, you're doing them perfectly fine, I'm pretty sure. So when you get to the top of a bicep curl, this is just a little coaching 101. You can keep going while we're doing this. If you notice, when you get to about here, see if you can see my arm. When you get to about here, you feel that peak isolation in the bicep. Now, if you bring your forearm all the way up, do you see how this elbow raises from this hinged position?
Yep.
So then you lose that time under tension and the isolation. So we try to avoid coming up too far.
Okay.
Okay, good.
So that here.
Yep. That looks good.
Okay.
Keep going. Do 4 more.
Now, Griselda is asking on YouTube if there are any good websites that sell equipment, because a lot of the stores have prices that are super high. Great question, Griselda.
That is a really good question. I know Dick's had a lot of good sales, but I'm pretty sure they're out last time I looked. In fact, you should send me a message on Instagram and I'll do some research for you because there's a lot of funky stuff out there that's not good quality, and you might pay money and then not be able to use it after 2 months or something. So
like maybe Amazon, you think? I don't know.
Amazon's good for things like bands are okay.
Okay.
But as far as your weights, people are just price gouging right now per pound, which I don't love.
Yes. Yes, this is true.
It's totally true. Okay, since you've been curling away, let's bring these up. No, you're doing great. No, I'm glad you're doing that. That's perfect. So you're going to have little cinnamon rolls facing the front, and we're going to drive it straight up overhead. Good. Now your elbows are going to face the front. We're going to hit the triceps, which is the back of the arm. You're going to hinge at the elbow. Good. And we don't want them to come out nice and wide. We want them to be facing forward, close together.
Okay.
This camera angle isn't helping at all, is it? So elbow facing me. Perfect. Looks good. Drive it straight up. Keep going. So a little coaching here. So bring your arms back down nice and slow. Behind you.
Up and then behind you.
Yes, perfect. So elbows nice and close. Perfect. Exhale and drive it straight up. Keep going. Return nice and slow. Good. So you should feel that stretch in the triceps as you come back. And then you exhale and drive the arms back up. Good. Look at you doing the tricep extension so perfectly.
Wow. I'm laughing because I see my hair doing all kinds of weirdness as I'm pulling it up.
That is my life.
As soon as I come up, it's like, oh.
So,
this is good,
so essentially what you're doing right now, you're lengthening the back of the arm, the tricep, right there. So you feel that stretch. And then those muscles are shortening and contracting and pulling that resistance and the forearm back up. So that's where the action happens. Good.
Okay, it's good. I can feel this. Even with 3 pounds, people, I can feel this.
It's good stuff. I mean, this is all very, very simple stuff. And I didn't think we would go through a whole workout and torture each other.
This is perfect.
So let's go for one more. And then when you bring it down, we do it nice and safe by arms are up here. And then bring it down into the front, nice and slow.
Okay.
And that's to avoid any kind of swinging with weights in our arms or in our hands, which obviously is for the shoulder. So, Cyndi.
I'm like,
okay, listen. So all we just did, we did a shoulder press, right? Driving straight up, or palms facing forward, up together. We did a basic bicep curl. Elbows are hinged at the sides. And then we did tricep extensions or a tricep press. So even if you did not want to work out in a day, but you had 5 minutes to just go through what we did a couple times each.
Yes.
Done to get some circulation going. I'm looking
I
at
love that.
You use a 20. We're still using a 20-pound weight. Oh my goodness. So 20 pounds to do an overhead tricep extension. If you have not been conditioning the back of your arms, the triceps, then of course you probably would feel that way the next day. That's a lot of resistance.
Yeah, that is. Start with 3. Start small.
Start small because, and you know, we're looking for quality of movement patterns, quality of the exercises versus just brute strength and being able to get through an exercise, if that makes sense, because again, quality over quantity of weight or repetition.
Yes, I love that. So good, Kelsey. Thank you so much. Well, let me see. Is there anything else that you wanted to share or you think we're good in terms of ways that we can just make sure that we end 2020 on a good note and then just going into 2021 with just some realistic but good goals in mind?
Yes. You know, I think what we talked about earlier is so important, just being very mindful of what is required to get the result that you want, that it takes time and intention, consistency, patience, giving yourself grace, those things. You know, it's kind of complicated to just throw information out there that's going to get people what they want or what they need to know, which is, the beauty of what I get to do for my job. It's kind of being the calculator behind all of the things to figure out how to program people's workouts, give them suggestions what they're eating, kind of be the accountability. So I love doing that stuff. I think we talked about a couple things. Did you have more questions about diet, food?
Yeah, I mean, I think some, so for example, I know like with eating, even when I changed my eating, one of the things that I did was I used what app is it? Is it
MyFitnessPal?
Yes, it's MyFitnessPal.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it because it's so simple, but I was shocked at how quickly, like calories, it's like you just think, it really opened my eyes to, when I think, I just ate that, or you don't realize how much you eat throughout the day, and then you don't realize how many calories are actually in what you eat throughout the day. I was totally baffled, but it really helped me to learn how to retrain myself how to eat in terms of my portions.
So I love that you do that, because for me, especially if I'm working with somebody directly, that's one of the first steps is, okay, you write down everything that you put in your mouth, food or drink, and then let me have a chat what that actually looks like, because most times people are just overboarding it on carbohydrates. Carbs are not bad. Carbohydrates are not the enemy, and neither is fat, but those two tend to go over the threshold of what is productive for a person's body. And then things suffer as far as protein intake. That's usually pretty low. Fiber, vegetables, things stay pretty low. If all the other things like those starchy carbs, the heavy oils and fats, if they get too high, of course, there's no room for those other good things. So it's good to map out and see where you need accountability and where some change could happen.
Yeah, I love it too, because sometimes it'll say, like, say, for example, if I'm having like an apple and then I'm having a banana and then I'm having, maybe I'll have Nutella with a banana, because I'll do that sometimes too. Then it will say like, oh, you're reaching your sugar cap for the day. Like it lets me know. Or even with salts, I noticed like if I was having, maybe Hebrew National hot dogs and maybe a turkey sausage, or, a couple of turkey bacon, and then I love green olives, and it was just like, you've eaten too much, consumed too much sodium for the day. So it really helps you with all of that. And and it's so easy, because if you have it on Wi-Fi, you just can scan the barcode of what you're eating and it just punches it right in. And then if you tend to eat a lot of the same things throughout the month or whatever, then it starts to recognize it. That's, oh yeah, you like your 2 turkey sausages with your egg whites,
Okay. You said Hebrew National. I'm just going to throw it out there. If you're doing that as your protein source every day, that could be adjusted. Probably you could swap that.
I'm not doing it every day, but I do love hot dogs, so I have to really watch it.
I mean, I love. They are good. Are they productive for maybe feeling and looking the way that you really want to?
Right.
If you eat them in moderation and everything else looks good around those, then yes. But
yes, I do now. I eat those in maybe like I'll eat 2 like every 2 weeks now. Okay. But I was eating them a lot. Like, I just couldn't wait to have them. And, they were very addicting, actually.
So protein, is that usually a struggle for, because it's, people are like, well, what do I do for protein? They're thinking boiled chicken and tilapia, which.
No, I'm good now. Like I'll have like a mahi burger, or I'll have tuna. Like the last 3 days I've had tuna. It just depends on like what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes it's bacon. So yeah, I don't only do the Hebrew National, but I love hot dog.
Okay. Well, you could totally keep those in your routine, but I think it would also be good to keep some stuff on hand in the freezer or the fridge, whether that's fresh chicken, free range, vegetarian fed chicken thighs and chicken breast tenderloins. Those are always simple and easy.
That's good. And you said free range, and that's good.
That's my preference.
Okay.
Yeah. Free range, vegetarian fed, and same, grass fed beef, the same with that. Salmon, mahi's great. Shrimp is not a bad option. Obviously eggs, bison is pretty popular these days. You can get it at Costco.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So your protein options, just keep a variety there. And actually, so Griselda's asking, does blending veggies get rid of nutrients? I find I have difficulty eating a lot of vegetables within my food and I want to blend them, but I don't want to do that if it defeats the purpose. So to answer your question, it does not. It will be easier to digest, and that can be a double-edged sword because some people will eat their vegetables to have a little roughage in their diet, and for your digestive system, essentially, that's something to work on. So you essentially lose that element if it's blended, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with blending your veggies, and that's great that you're getting them in. So I'd encourage you to keep doing that. It's good.
Yeah, that is good. That's a great question, Griselda. I'm still horrified that the first time you did a tricep extension, you used a 20. I'm still horrified at that. Bless your heart. I wasn't able to fasten my seatbelt the next day.
Oh yeah, like that's painful. If this is all tight, you can't. It's hard. I understand.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about food, real quick, carbs are good, right? So rice is always a good option. A simple carb. So this is just Costco brand, the Seeds of Change. There's different variations of this all over. This is quinoa. And 90 seconds in the microwave. You just break it up, pop it open, 90 seconds. So you can pair this with whatever protein you're having. Maybe some vegetables pan cook or salad. Okay, so that's one option.
That's good.
You guys, with your pasta, because carbs are not bad and pasta is delicious, you can look for alternatives that look something like this.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. So you can mix that up, and a lot of them will have this additional plant-based protein in their ingredients or their formulation. So
that's great. Plant-based protein. I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
Yeah, and a lot of it, what's popular right now, it used to be soy. I'm not a huge fan. Actually, I'm allergic to soy amongst many others.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Yep. Doesn't make sense. I'm Asian, super allergic to soy. But pea protein is pretty common now. Oh,
what is that?
Pea protein. That seems to be the winner.
Pea?
Pea. Yes, like green peas.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm like, pea protein.
Yep. Pea protein. And then you mentioned earlier you were eating like a piece of fruit with some Nutella, and your sugar would register high. That's because, of course, fruit is natural sugar, fructose, right?
Yes.
So the Nutella probably has quite a bit of additional sugar in comparison to something like a plain nut butter. So you could swap it out, a peanut butter, almond butter.
That's good. I like that. Okay, thank you. That's so good.
Super easy swap. Snack stuff. Processed food is not always ideal. And by process, it just means it's been prepared in some way, typically. Yeah. But if you're on the go, easy protein, jerky, Costco, cheap, affordable, practical.
Okay.
And then marking your calories. So that would be my biggest encouragement for people, especially now, if that's not something that's common for you, to avoid things like soda or sugary drinks, and just swap it out with water. Or for those of you who hate drinking plain water, tea is always good. Herbal teas.
Oh, yes. 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 Yes.
So
and that's the Republic. That's the Republic tea. That's really good tea.
Yeah. And they're pretty much everywhere. Most grocery stores, you can find them.
Okay.
Are the Kind bars as healthy as they advertise? They're fine. And we actually have quite a few in our kitchen. We have the breakfast bars. And then what else do we have? We have another one. And I do like those on the go. So those would be considered your in-betweener meal, like a little snack to tide you over.
What about the Cliff bars? I do like those.
Oh, they're so good, but they're so high in sugar.
Yeah, I love the chocolate chip. That's my favorite. But I mean, I probably haven't had a Cliff bar in about 6 months.
Okay.
But I love Cliff bars. Like, they're so chewy and like.
I know they're so good. Those are my favorite. Actually, the chocolate chip Cliff bars are one of my kryptonites for sure. And if you really want one, use it either before or after some focused workout or exercise so that your body can use that glycogen, because it's like 32 grams of sugar in a bar. It's kind of a lot.
Wow. That is a lot of sugar.
I might be totally off, but that's I should go check.
That's why I like it.
I know it's so good. And then for those who are like, well, how do I know how much sugar I should be getting? It varies, based on your goals and where you're currently at. But for me, if something has more than 12 to 15 grams of sugar in it, I'm probably going to try to steer clear unless I'm intentionally trying to eat some sort of treat.
Right.
Yep. And you can think about sugar, the little stevia packets or Splenda packets, sugar packets.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 1 gram. So if your soda or your treat has 30 grams of sugar, just think about taking 30 grams or 30 of those sugar packets.
Wow.
In your body. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Let's see. We have one more question. Is RX bars any good? I don't know what that is, but do you know what that is, Kelsey?
I'm familiar with the brand, and they've got a couple different bars out, so I'd have to look at the nutrition label, but I think those are going to be lower in sugar than most of your Cliff Bar variations, so I won't poo-poo it. But again, you want to make sure that sugar content is a little bit lower.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So we got the sugar intake and the protein and the calories, making sure we're drinking 90 ounces of water-ish.
Yep.
And then we talked about, you said about 35 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week is a good place for you to be. Is there anything else that we might need to know to really help us to start and kick off 2021 at just a really nice pace?
I think starting off with giving yourself grace is the most important part, and knowing that it takes some time and just being okay with that, so that when you get a couple wins through the week, you get a couple workouts in, you drink more water, you prepare better food for yourself. Those are all positives, and a little will add up to a lot always.
Very good. You know what, too, and we'll kind of end with this, but I really I liked what you were saying about when you wake up in the morning and just kind of doing this opening up. I find that I do, find myself kind of hunched, and I'm not the only one. I can be out in public and I will see people just hunched. That's even their posture. Now, I grew up playing the piano, so for the most part, I'm usually back straight, but I definitely need to open up more than I do. Open up. So I'm looking forward to starting my morning off like that tomorrow.
Do it. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but get out of bed like on purpose.
Like a champion. Like a champion.
Don't just roll out of the bed. People create all these movement patterns in the body that are you've got these little glitches and get ups and funkiness, and that creates tight muscles in places that muscles shouldn't be tight. So get out of bed the right way, get those arms up overhead, open up the chest. And the other thing, those hip flexor stretches, which we do in some of my videos, but like the runner stretch, so important because we're in this closed position, in the seated position.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
It's so tight.
That's so good. I love that. Well, Kelsey, thank you so much. I'm gonna pull up your information so that people can follow you on Instagram, kelseylee.com, and on YouTube, you're Kelsey Lee. And there's a lot of stuff. When you go to when you go to YouTube and you do a search for Kelsey Lee, there's gonna be a lot of stuff. I mean, I saw the abs, and then I saw I don't know, all that's different stuff. The triceps, biceps, the
upper
core,
body.
Yes, whole body and all of these different things. But so I don't know if you have any like little circuits on there that you would recommend, but there was a lot of stuff. So all good. I'm super excited about that. And then of course your website is a lot of fun too. And that's kelseylee.com.
Yep.
And that was just a lot of fun seeing, you have some fun blogs up there, just some even things with you and Tyler. Just, for those of you that don't know Kelsey, that would just be a great way and a great website to visit so they can just kind of get a deeper glimpse of who you are. It was just a lot of fun. Even me just browsing your website all over again. I was like, oh,
I like it. Thanks Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, so much fun. So much fun. Well, Kelsey, it's been so wonderful having you on here. And girl, I'm so glad you finally made it to the show. You finally made it to the show. So
wow. No crazy weather, no fires, no evacuations.
But there was hail.
There was hail. I'm going to send you videos when we log off a little bit later. You're going to have a good laugh.
I want to see the video. I will. I'll be like, oh, when you said I was like, I can't even believe this is happening. So
no, neither could I. I was like, Lord.
Well, not today. Today is the day where you are on the show. So thank you for your nuggets, like big nuggets, chunks of wisdom. And we're excited about jumping on your YouTube channel and just really setting a good pace for us, a good pace, a good speed for us to be able to get not just back on track, but to have a more victorious 2021. We're taking care of our body and our temple is concerned. So we will be sharing some of those like key pointers that you shared. We will be sharing that on our social media this week. But Kelsey, again, thank you so much. You are awesome. All my love to you and Tyler and those beautiful Parsies of yours. And we look forward to having you back on the show very, very soon in the near future.
You got it. Let's do it.
All right, girl. Thank you so much. All right. Well, that was Kelsey Lee Hollenbeck. And again, you can find her on Instagram. You can do a search for her on YouTube, Kelsey Lee. And then her website is kelseylee.com. So thank you so much. So we've got it. We've got some good tools for us to start 2021 at a really nice pace. Doesn't have to be this, I'm going to slam it out of the ballpark mentality, and then maybe that doesn't happen. And yet so many times that's how our years can be. And so we just wanted to encourage you and leave you with something that you're going to feel really good about to bring you into a wonderful mindset going into 2021. Don't forget, I don't know what you're going to do, but if you haven't yet gone to pick up all your fun little goodies to celebrate this year, we've come out of 2020 and it was a very, oh my goodness, it was a year. I know a lot of us can attest to that, but don't forget to get your little goodies at your nearest. I just went to the 99-cent store. So for those 4 things, that was only $4. And then of course I have my little, I'm going to be wearing this on Thursday night. So they look like mouse ears, but they're not. They're clocks. They're clocks. So we love you. Thank you so much for joining. It was a long episode tonight, but I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. I'm so inspired and encouraged. We're better together, and that is more blessed to give than to receive. And so get on that Bless app that Tara came on and she shared about, just wonderful things that it's doing, impacting people's lives throughout the nation. And have a wonderful, wonderful week. Be safe this week. Use wisdom this week. And if you can, stay home. I might actually be throwing some kind of a virtual party. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I feel like something like that's happening. So I'm probably going to be here. But be sure to bring in the year with people that you love, even if it's virtual, even if it's just through text or phone. But Happy New Year. We are so thankful that you are a part of our lives. And I look forward to seeing you next year, next Monday on A New Thing Live. And until then, always remember that there is that opportunity for you to do something new. And that something new is absolutely just for you. So thank you again to all of our special guests for tonight. And we will see you next week on A New Thing Live.
Are you ready?